Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started. It's 6:36, and I will read the committee guidelines. Should be a brief meeting. We're just going to run through the meeting, the minutes. So let me just read the guidelines. Code of conduct for meetings. Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove and or ask the member of the public to leave the meeting or block participation if anyone who engages in inappropriate conduct includes, but not limited to, obscene or offensive images or language, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board, executive committee, or any other assigned committee for a ban of the participant. The amount of time to be objectively determined by the above committee in the event of repeated disruptive behavior. Okay, we are asking everyone besides the speaker will stay, oh, here's Zohaira, will stay muted throughout the meeting. And if any committee member, this is a committee, so you'll be able to go back and forth. Committee members will signify that they have a question by presenting raised hand on your screen or request to speak through the chat when the chair opens. Okay. If you are calling into the meeting on the conference controls while joining from the landline or cell by calling dial-up number, you will hear available commands. Enter what is that? Asterisk on your phone, *6, mute or unmute yourself, or *9, virtually raise your hand. Oh, I didn't read the emergency guidelines. Okay. Sorry, that's my phone ringing and I can't shut it off right now. Good evening, everyone. My name is Myrna Calderon. I'm the chair of the Ad Hoc Bylaws Committee. This is Community Board 7. And the agenda is already read. We're going to be reviewing the bylaws finally and send them to the executive board. January 20th, 2023, Mayor Adams issued Executive Order 315 extending the state of emergency through February 19th, 2023. Accordingly, boards are able to continue to act under the state of emergency section of video conferencing law, chapter 56 of the laws of 2022, part W. I don't know what that is, WW. This allows the board to continue remotely. Minutes and video recording will be made available on our website. With that, I'm going to take attendance. Everybody is here now, so that's easy. So Myrna Calderon, chair is present. Andrea Leosa, are you on? You can unmute yourselves now.
Andrew Leosa, present.
Betty R.C.
Betty R.C. present.
Victor Saldana. I see you. You just
Victor Saldana present.
Barbara Stronzer, first one
Barbara
here.
Stronzer is present.
And Yahaira Arias, our esteemed chair. Okay. All right. With that, we can go ahead and all the changes I think that have been were needed have been made. So I think we're just going to do a final run through to make sure we didn't miss anything. I do have a comment at the end of something we may want to address, but let's just read through it. Who would like to start?
All right. I'll start if nobody else volunteers.
Yes, and so the way this is going to go is we're just going to read through and where we say this has been changed. So for the record, so they know what has, because like if, for example, in section 1, it says B as non-voting, that's something that's highlighted. Okay, so we'll just say that that's highlighted. That's what the.
Okay, so in other words, the changes are highlighted some way?
Yes, they should all be highlighted, all the changes.
Okay, I
That's
see.
why we had to continue working on this document that way. Okay, so the floor is yours, Barbara. Read
Okay. Whoa. What happened? Effect, Article 1, effect. These bylaws upon adoption shall be the bylaws of Community Board Number 7, thereafter referred to as the Board of the Borough of the Bronx, and shall be governing be the governing instrument of the board, subject to the provisions of the New York City Charter, hereinafter referred to as the Charter, the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, and any other applicable laws. Article 2, powers. Section 1, the board shall exercise those powers and those functions set forth in the Charter and the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure with regard to any matter concerning its community district. The boundaries of the district shall be as defined by the map of community districts in effect pursuant to Section 2701A through D of the City Charter. Article 3, members, appointments. Section 1, the board shall consist of as voting members, those individuals who shall have been appointed by the borough presidents in accordance with Section 2800 of the Charter, hereafter referred to as appointed members. B, as non-voting members, those public officials specified in Section 2800 of the Charter. Section 2, each appointed member shall serve for a term of 2 years as provided for in Section 2800 of the Charter. Upon the death, resignation, or removal of an appointed member, the vacancy created may be filled by the borough president for the remainder of the unexpired term in the same manner as a regular appointment. Section 3, an appointed member may resign at any time by submitting a resignation in writing to the borough president and the chairperson of the board. Such resignation shall take effect at the time specified therein, or if no time be specified, upon receipt by the borough president. A resignation need not be accepted to become effective.
Are there any questions there?
All right, removal of board members.
I have a question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I think Andrew has his hand up.
Okay,
Oh, Andrew, go ahead. Sorry.
Me? Oh, okay. So how do we handle, there is a situation where a regular community member can be made a member of a committee. They're not an official board member. They don't have voting rights, but they are a member, an official member of that committee. Where is that handled in our bylaws? I'm just curious about that. We don't happen to have it, but there are other boards who do have it, and I think maybe we did have it once in the past.
so Andrew, I would think as an official member, do they have any additional rights or responsibilities other than being able to speak about a motion or whatever? Is that what you're referring to? If they can't vote, what can they do as an appointed member?
I think that Andrew is talking about how does a non-voting member become a member of a committee. Is that what you're saying, Andrew? Like, what is the process?
No, I'm just, that category, they're considered, they're officially a member of that committee. And I'm not, it's not clear to me how, for example, are they counted towards a quorum or not?
No.
I don't believe they're not entitled to a vote because they're not a voting member.
Right.
But I'm just curious, like, where in our bylaws or any other board's bylaws does it address that category? It does exist.
Yes.
We also have to handle that other issue, which we haven't had to tackle it, but the issue of, and they mentioned it the other night, that we can have a board member who's, I think they said 16 years old, and because they're 16, I guess officially they're minors, so there's certain topics or issues they can't be a part of. I don't know if our bylaws handles that either, and maybe we need to do that. So
Yeah.
I know it's last minute, but
Yeah, no,
Um,
but as far as what you're saying, I mean, thank you, AJ, for reminding us. But yeah, we are, the quorum issue is already addressed in the bylaws. As long as 50%, oh, Yahira's on. Okay, Yahira, go ahead. Unmute yourself, you're muted.
No, go ahead, finish, Myrna.
Yeah, so it is addressed the quorum issue because you have to have 50% of the voting members present for it to be quorum.
Okay,
And I do believe that like you said, a lot of boards do have non-appointed members on the committees, and I think it allows that. And I think I thought we addressed that in the bylaws, but since we're reading through it, we'll see if it comes up. If not, we'll have to add that in. Go ahead, Yahira.
No, I just wanted to remind that once you are appointed to the board, you are a voting member, whether you're in a committee or not. So you do vote at the general, you vote on motions, you vote on whatever topics are there. So whether you're on a committee or not, as long as you are an appointed board member, you do have the right, you can vote.
I was bringing the point of a community member. They're not. There is the structure of community boards on a committee level only. There are community members who can become official members of a committee. And I'm just curious how that's handled. And I don't think we addressed that in our bylaws, but I know it does exist in other community boards. I don't believe that we don't have this now, but at one point I think we once did have that. So they're just general community members. They're not appointed, so they can't vote because they're not appointed. They are official members of the committee. So maybe there should be a place on the bylaws committee structure where it's addressed. Just an idea.
A community member is appointed to a committee by the chair of the committee. That's how it happens.
Right.
I believe
You can, but they can't vote. That's the issue. They're not allowed to vote. They can be appointed, like, like AJ just made a point that Miss Pina, forget her first name. She's on the health committee. So but she can't vote, but she can join and she can participate and count, be counted as in attendance, but you still need 50% of the members to be in attendance. So, but she just can't vote. But it doesn't stop us from appointing people. If the chair so desires, I know this person's been coming to a committee meeting. They're very, they add a lot, and I want to add this person to the education committee, for example. So yes, you could do that. They just can't vote. That's the only caveat. Okay.
Do we mention that in our bylaws? I don't recall seeing that. It could be wrong. As we go along, just make a mental note to see if we address.
right.
If it's not addressed right here is where we can address it, because this is
Right. So,
right in
maybe if
section
you make
1.
note of any topic that comes up and we can handle them after we get through everything.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Barbara. Also be reminded that we had ample opportunity to review this on our own. And we're here now. This is the last one of it. We can't continue to be back and forth with it. It's either tonight to get it done. We just,
Forever hold your peace.
this has just been way too long, unfortunately.
Yes.
All right,
Okay, but we may bring up this topic at another point in the bylaws, so we'll just see how it reads.
Okay, so
Okay.
I have I would like a clarification on this Article 3 members appointments, Section 2. So each appointed member shall serve for a term of 2 years, and upon death, resignation, or removal of an appointed member, the vacancy created may be filled by, okay, so that's just the membership. Okay, not the officers. Fine, thank you. Move on. Thank you.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Removal of board members, Section 4.
Okay.
An appointed member may be removed for cause by the borough president or by a majority of the appointed members of the board. Cause shall include missing 3 consecutive meetings, meetings or a combination of consecutive committee and general board meetings totaling 3. Okay, we put what, 3, oh, I'm sorry, 3 sequential meetings or a combination of consecutive committee and general board meetings totaling 3.
Mhm.
Okay, the board shall not remove a board member by reason of absences without first notifying the board member in writing via electronic mail or first-class mail, certified and return receipt requested to the electronic or mail address on record, that an explanation in writing is requested to be delivered to the board within 20 days of the date of the notice. Upon receipt of any response or upon the expiration of 20 days from the mailing of the notice, whichever is earlier, the Budget, Personnel, and Ethics Committee will consider the response and will make a recommendation to the Executive Board. If the Executive Board determines that the absences are not valid, the Executive Board shall place in the next scheduled notice of a general board meeting that a motion to remove the particular board member will be on the agenda. Any discussion to remove a board member will take place in executive session. The final vote will be taken in public.
Okay, any questions? Everybody's good with that? Okay, you want to go ahead and read 5 and 6?
Okay. 5, the board shall not remove a board member except in accordance with the following procedures. A, written complaints will be evaluated by the Budget, Personnel, and Ethics Committee for further consideration. B, the member whose removal is proposed shall be given the opportunity to respond in person or in writing to the complaint, whether before the Budget, Personnel, and Ethics Committee or the full board. C, the board shall receive the report of the Budget, Personnel, and Ethics Committee, including a minority report, if any, and response if any of the members, that doesn't make sense. Oh, if any, and response if any of the members.
Oh, so there, see, that's how we need to.
That we have to fix up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so make a note of that. I'll go on. D, a motion to remove the member shall be adopted by a majority of the total appointed members of the board at a meeting, the agenda for which shall have included action on removal. Section 6, any board member with at least 6 months of service and meeting attendance requirements shall be allowed to take a 6 consecutive month leave of absence from the community board. The request must be made in writing, electronic or postal mail to the board chairperson, the board district manager, and the committee chairperson of the Budget, Personnel, and Ethics Committee. The effective date of the 6-month consecutive leave will be retroactive to the date of the last board meeting attended. Only one request will be granted per 2-year appointment cycle.
Okay. Any questions? We're good. Okay, who wants to read the next section? Give Barbara a break.
Great, thank you.
Betty, you want to read Article 4, hearings and meetings?
I'm always volunteered. Okay, no problem. Always being volunteered, that's okay.
Because you never say no.
That's why they call on you all the time, Betty.
Article 4, hearings and meetings, Section 1. The procedure followed at all meetings shall be in accordance with the requirements of the charter, the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure. I think something's wrong here with the requirements of the charter. Is it and the uniform use? No, is that what it is? Does that sound right?
The procedure followed at all meetings shall be in accordance with the requirements of the
Bylaws and when, no, I think it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay, the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, these bylaws, and when no contrary provision exists, Robert's Rules of Order, there's something wrong here.
I think they just listed it. It's just listed.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so of the, okay, charter, the Uniform Land, these bylaws, and when, okay, no contrary provisions, got it, exists Robert's Rule. Okay, fine, understood.
Okay.
Section 2, the board shall hold a regularly scheduled public meeting of the full board and conduct a public session at least once a month, except during the months of July and August. A hearing or a meeting may be called by the chairperson or may be called at the request of 1/3 of the members of the board plus 1. Section 3, The chairperson shall, yes, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, it's not accurate. It's not true. I mean, those of us remember, we did have, well, we did the ULURP about the armory. We met during the summer. So you can't say we can't meet in July and August.
I think that maybe we can combine something with the last sentence there, a hearing or a meeting may be called by the chairperson. Is that, we can say, except during the months of July and August, or as needed?
No, well, I think it says that already. We went through this. It says, except during the months of July and August, a hearing may be called, or may be called the request of 1/3. Oh, yeah, it kind
At
of
this time,
Oh, no, but the
or
chair,
at the during the summer.
yeah, but that's only in special circumstances, and then the chairperson has to call onto the board and get approval of 1/3
Right.
plus one to have it.
Right,
Well,
all
we
right.
can say
So
that.
it takes care of it already.
Yeah, it takes care of it in the next sentence.
Right, right.
It
Okay.
doesn't say under certain circumstances. Do you want to
It
say
says,
that?
or may be called at the request of 1/3 plus one members of, 1/3 of the members of the board plus one. So it does address it. It's just you need a vote. If you
Yeah,
can't get,
there's no need to say in special circumstances. It doesn't always happen. And
Right.
when it does, is a rare thing. So
Okay,
so it already says it, so.
Section 3.
Okay, section 3.
The
Thank you.
chairperson shall determine the time, date, and place of all special hearings and meetings in consultation with the officers, except hearings, we say hearings, held pursuant to the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure. So we need an S after hearings. Yeah.
Okay,
For hearings held pursuant to such procedure, the chairperson shall determine the time and date and shall initially determine the place of the hearing. We're being redundant. Okay,
but we tried really hard to take away the redundancy. Where's that?
the first sentence talks about that the chairperson shall determine the time, date, and place of all special hearings, and then we proceed to say, for hearings held pursuant to such procedure, the chairperson shall determine the time, date, and shall initially determine the place of the hearing. So it's already been said.
Get rid of it. You don't need it.
Right, so take that sentence out.
Okay, I have to do this where it's tracked. Okay, so we're just gonna get rid of this whole sentence here, right?
Right.
Exactly,
Up
up to hearing,
to here.
right.
All right, let me just do this one more time. And up to hearing.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, all right, there you
Okay.
go.
Immediately prior to the start of each such hearing, the board shall determine by a vote of a majority of the appointed members present and voting whether to ratify the chairperson's initial determination of the place of the hearing. Upon ratification, the hearing shall commence. If the board fails to ratify the chairperson's initial determination, the hearing shall be adjourned and a new hearing shall be called at a place determined by the board. Notice of hearing may be issued based upon the chairperson's initial determination of its location. How does that sound? That is the most convoluted sentence. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it is very convoluted.
Notice of hearing may be issued based upon the chairperson's initial determination.
So there's going to be 50 people that show up at a location. A vote is taken whether that location is suitable. If it's not, the 50 people have to leave. I mean,
I know, that's what I'm saying.
what is this referring to? I mean,
Can
I'm
you
not so sure.
can you scroll up again, Myrna? I'm sorry.
What is the purpose of this?
This is for special hearings. I think this should be done with, this should not be a full board necessarily. I think this would be the officers or the executive committee or something like that about holding special meetings. Special hearings, I'm sorry, and meetings.
I
How do
think this
I
thing,
mean, it makes no sense that if
Um,
you're right, Andrew, if you have everybody shows up for a hearing and it's not, you have to ratify
and balances, like the venue, like you know, we all know on the news, I don't know, let's say police officers accused of whatever, and their attorneys who are defending a police officers know that they'll get the chances of getting a more favorable outcome such and such jurisdiction, so they would move the trial to a different location. Maybe that's what this is referring to, that the location where the hearing is might favor a certain outcome, and the board members can object to the actual location and relocate it someplace else. I think that's what this is.
Yeah, it sounds like that, Andrew.
Yeah,
Pretty much pretty out.
yeah, it's there for a reason. Maybe, you know,
I don't think so. I
might
think
be-
I think this is stuff that's been built up, and it makes absolutely no sense. You know, the chairperson consults with the officers, and then it says,
Yeah,
except
true.
hearings, so, you know, that should be sufficient. Officers or you can include the executive committee, of which most of the committee is made up of officers as well. I don't see why board members should object to a location of a meeting if that is in the best interest of the board to be able to have a venue that allows for as many people to be able to participate as possible, unless the chairperson is selecting, like Andrew says, a place that might restrict public access. I don't know.
No, I think it's more of a chairperson, a chairperson that might be holding a meeting that maybe the executive board is not in agreement with. I think that's what happened here. I think that's why that's here.
If I recall, I think it pertains to the EULR, and if they have a meeting that's a distance from what they're supposed to be determining, they felt that originally that should be put in so that the meeting would be held close enough to whatever they were discussing.
But that's not always possible. I mean, it's like, you know,
Yeah, that's what I recall, the reason for that going in there,
especially
about the
DD7,
EULR process.
we don't have a lot of, you know, places.
No, we don't have a lot, but, you know, I don't know.
That makes a lot, doesn't, to me, I understand the rationale, but it's in reality, it doesn't seem to, you know.
Yeah, you don't see how it fits in, I understand that. But I think it's only for the EULR that, you know, people
Yeah,
Well,
might
it says-
upset.
Except here, it says, the first sentence says, the chairperson will consult with the officers about special hearings, and then it says, except hearings held pursuant to EULR. So EULR has a very specific
Yes, method.
method, which is that what's being reflected in that second paragraph?
I believe so.
Probably,
I think that's what it's talking about.
Yep,
I think we're gonna have to leave it there, because that's probably
for that
why,
reason.
yeah.
Because the
Okay.
ULURP is, it's its own animal, and
Yeah, I
and
understand.
it can go in very
Exactly.
different directions.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
just, put it on. Section 4, all meetings and hearings shall be held within the board's community district, except that if in the board's judgment, there is a suitable and convenient place of public assembly within the borough. That is good to know. I thought that we were like restricted and bound by the community board's boundaries, so to speak. So that's good to know. Section 5, written notice of each hearing or meeting setting forth its time, place, and subject shall be made public and distributed not less than 10 calendar days prior to the date of the hearing or meeting, and shall be sent by the board staff to each member of the board. Section 7, the presence of a majority of the appointed members of the board shall constitute a quorum. No member may be present by proxy. You may want to like move proxy up just to. Section 8, each appointed member present at a meeting shall be entitled to one vote unless otherwise specified in the charter, the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, or these bylaws. All questions shall be decided by a majority of the appointed members present and voting. Minutes shall be taken at all meetings and hearings and shall be public record. The minute shall contain an accurate record of the members present, all resolutions and motions brought by the board, including all votes taken, and a summary of all reports presented to the board, including majority, minority reports. Copies of all papers submitted at a hearing or meeting shall be annexed to the minutes and be part thereof.
Thank you very much. Oh, Andrew, you have a question?
I think we addressed it later, but again, that's purely not like, for example, we go into executive session, there are no minutes, and there's no accurate record of what took place. When you start saying minutes shall be taken at all meetings and hearings, shall be public record, maybe, with the exception of executive session, maybe comma, with the exception of the executive session.
That would be in the, but we do have to come back to the, when we come out of executive session, we do have to say something about what happened, or not exactly what happened, but something about.
Mention
But
the
a
topic.
vote, yes, if you voted.
But we have to, there's got to be, maybe it'll come up later, or maybe just, I said, just put comma, minutes shall be taken at all meetings and hearings and shall be public record with the exception of executive session.
Good point.
After public record, section 9.
Where is it? Where is it? Okay.
Next, section 9, the first sentence,
Minutes shall be taken.
at all meetings and hearings, with the exception of, after public record, comma, with the exception of executive session meetings or sessions, whatever. Executive session. It'll be a comma, not semicolon. And maybe we can say the public record will indicate that the board went into executive session or something like that.
I think don't we address executive session in another?
We
Part
do,
of-
no,
We might,
Yeah,
we should wait till the end with it.
Yeah, executive session is further down.
okay.
yeah.
But shouldn't we at least say that here?
Yes, because it's not accurate to say minutes shall be taken at all meetings. That's all, just,
Shall be a public record
Right.
with the exception of executive session.
Yep.
Period, right? For now. Okay,
Mhm. Okay,
all right.
Okay, I'm done, right? I read everything here, so now we go to Article 5. Okay, anybody else want to take it up?
Anybody else want to read?
I mean, I'll read it, it's not a problem, but maybe somebody else wants to read.
I can read if somebody else wants to make the changes. Yahira, you want to, somebody else? So anybody that has access to it can make changes. Article 5, officers, section 1. The officers of the board shall be a chairperson, a first vice chairperson, a second vice chairperson, a secretary, and a member at large, and such other officers as the board may deem necessary or advisable. Each officer shall be an appointed member of the board. Election of officers shall take place every 2 years at a meeting of the board held in the month of June. Each officer shall serve for a term of 2 years commencing on July 1st and until their successors have, there's a grammatical thing there. And until their successors have, or
Been duly elected, yeah.
yeah, it should be successors have been
Oh, no,
duly
it's-
elected. Huh?
It's okay, because it's each officer, so you're talking about singular.
Yeah,
So
okay.
then it has to concord with a singular successor.
Okay, so give me a minute, Hugo. Let me just finish with this one section here. Have been duly elected and shall have qualified. No member shall be elected an officer of the board until they have completed 1 year of service from the date of their attendance at their first board committee meeting, No member shall be nominated and or elected unless they are present at both the day of nomination and the day of elections. You had a question, Hugo?
Yes, it says member at large. What's a member at large?
Good question. I don't remember that being discussed in the past. What is it? Or who is it?
Well, who else is asking a question? Somebody else.
I would,
Andrew explained that
am.
last time. Andrew, you want to explain that again?
I think that the second line, each officer shall be, we should have an appointed voting member. So for example, to distinguish, I don't know, somebody's a member of a committee, for example, they're not a voting member. Technically, I guess, a community member appointed by committee chairperson could technically be an officer unless we say an appointed voting member.
is
Just
the
one
member
word.
at large, I mean, I know that we took out treasurer because it wasn't relevant, but so in addition to these officers that have a very specific title, a member at large is an appointed board member, or is this a community member? I'm confused.
No, it's
I'm
an
confused.
appointed board member. Okay. The officers of the board shall be a chairperson, a first vice chair, a second vice chairperson, a secretary, and a member at large. Because some people have third vice chairs and fourth vice chairs, and I think the discussion went that we would have a member at large. Oh, to take the place of the treasurer. That is what
Right,
happened.
right. So is that person elected? That's
Um,
what
It would have to be if it's an
It
officer.
would have to be because it's an executive, yeah, it would have to be if it's.
All right,
officer of the
fine,
board,
okay.
yeah.
So that person then has to adhere to all the criteria that follow, below, which is has to have served a term of 2 years or a year, be
But
qualified.
the thing is that it doesn't have a specific duty, that member at large. It's another voting member of the executive board, but they do have to be elected to that position. Because we no longer have a treasurer, right? That's how that came along, okay?
Okay, so I don't remember even discussing that. I know we talked about the treasurer.
We did.
position.
We did talk about it a lot. I would think
Yeah.
that was like the
Okay.
second.
It was we didn't know what to call that person. We were talking
Right.
about sergeant at arms, whatever.
Major.
So that's-
Right.
Okay, Sergeant at Arms, I remember. And this person, we will describe later on what he or she is going to do, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well,
We went through this, we spoke about getting rid of treasurer, we talked about a parliamentarian, we talked about we
Right, I
gave
remember
so many
that.
names and we couldn't come up with it in the one name, member at large, because we couldn't come up with a proper title for it.
right.
That's how it was.
So
Yeah,
I think
and-
that's why we settled on member at large. It
Correct.
doesn't have any
If-
specific duties, but understanding that when you have executive positions, when one person cannot do their position, that other person steps in their place. So that's probably the same thing that would happen if a member at large. But the chances are that the board chair, the first vice chair, the second vice chair, and the secretary would all be gone is kind of, I mean, it could happen,
low.
but that's, very unlikely, so.
Well,
Okay,
the rest of the sentence implies, and such other officers as the board may deem necessary or advisable. Our bylaws define the titles
right,
of the officers, saying as such other as the board may deem necessary. I mean, the only way you can do that is to change the bylaws.
right.
That's right.
In other words, the board can't make a motion and say, okay, we're going to create a fourth vice chair, whatever. We have to change the bylaws and vote on the bylaws.
Correct. So we should
that
remove
last
that.
part of the sentence should be removed. The only way to do that is to change the bylaws.
Right.
Okay,
So,
so are we gonna
member-
leave it alone for now? Because we've discussed this infinitum.
I know, but sometimes you overlook, since we discussed the member at large, you kind of
Yeah, just-
overlook that last sentence. I mean, we don't, we
Period after
can't,
member at large and get rid of it and such
Andrew is
other,
correct. We would have to do it
Maybe-
by changing the bylaws in order to, for that to stand.
Well, isn't that what we're doing? The board has to vote on this if they don't agree.
Right.
with it.
Yeah, this is the whole point of this. This is the whole point of this committee, to do this and then take it to the exec and then take it to the board for a vote. If it becomes, if it's not agreeable, then we have to come back with something else. That's the whole
But
point of this.
I know you're hired, but this is not, that sentence is not consistent with what we're doing. That sentence gives the board a right that it doesn't have without taking this back to, changing the bylaws.
Betty, this is what we're doing. We are making the changes to the bylaw to take
Right.
it to the exec to,
Right.
this is these are amendments to what it was originally standing.
I know, but some of that stuff was nonsensical, made no sense. It was, stuff thrown together. People were lazy. I mean, we're
Exactly.
cleaning it
And
up.
this is,
And
this
that
is,
sentence there, I think, is not consistent with what we're doing. And such other officers, the board can't be creating positions and other officers without first going to,
The bylaws.
changing the bylaws.
But we
So
can't, yeah,
I
but
know what she's
I'm going to interject there. Because this is the whole reason why we're redoing these bylaws. And the reason why you would give the board that kind of authority, or the executive board, is so that you don't have to go back to the bylaws and change the bylaws again, because you realize that you need another, it turns out that you really do need a third vice chairperson. But now we have to go back to the bylaws again, and we change the bylaws, and here we go again, and you won't be able to make the decisions you
You
have.
can do an amendment to the bylaws, and that would
And you
take
see
2
how,
meetings.
right, and you see how long that would take.
2
It would
meetings.
take 3 meetings. Everybody would argue, we'd have a whole discussion again, and the people would vote against the amendment. Why are you doing that? You just want to put another person on the executive committee. This
For
is,
what reason? I
I
think
know, but it gives a lot of power to
Thank you.
your executive.
Thank you.
committee. Yeah.
Thank you.
And we use the method of amending the bylaws, and it's worked in the past, and I can see Betty's point.
Yeah.
yeah, I see Betty's point also, but this is the whole point of this, is to avoid having to go back and forth. We are giving this a whole fresh look and clarification,
Mhm.
so that when we do take it to the next level, it's clear, it's concise, and we don't have to continue to go in circles.
That's fine, and I agree. I don't think that taking that out is an issue. I don't think I think if that is explained to the full board or the executive committee where this is going first, to explain this issue, I don't think that would be a problem. I just think that we want to be as transparent, we want to be as clean and clear as
Right.
possible, and have bylaws that, are fair. And so I think that just taking that out just makes it, we have specific positions, and those are the ones that we need. If we need anything else, we
Right.
amend. And
And there's an amendment, and I think the process of the amendment is in there for a good reason.
right, otherwise there's no point in having it. I
Right.
just want to clarify the sentence, each officer shall serve, just to make it consistent grammatically, each officer shall serve for a term of 2 years and blah, blah, until their successor has been. So changing have to has been. Has
right
been
here, the
Right
officer
there.
shall serve a term of 2 years, I mentioned July, until,
their successor has been.
yeah, that
Duly
was that was the one I saw.
And then the same thing for the next one, shall have and shall,
Oh, what did I do here?
and shall be duly, has been duly elected and. Okay,
Has been duly elected,
there's
okay.
something,
Shall have
that hanging sentence there doesn't seem to, when you go to the next one, it's. And shall have qualified. That doesn't make a lot of sense in here.
And
For what?
shall have,
Been qualified? I don't know what that means.
Well, that should be taken out, because once you're elected, that's it.
Right,
There's
That's
no
exactly.
it.
qualification needed. You're
Exactly.
elected.
Right, you can't
Right, so
run
you
if you're
had to
not
qualify
qualified.
prior to that,
Right,
Yeah, the qualification comes before that.
right?
Exactly. Okay.
One last thing, one comment. This is why these meetings with the bylaws need to be consistently back to back to back. When we
Yeah.
have too much time in between, we forget our conversation, we forget what we discussed,
Exactly.
and it
Been a
becomes, we're
while.
back to being to square one. This is what this feels like. So we got to make a better transition as to when we do bylaws again to make it consistent.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I hear you. It's, things happened and, you can't-
Right, true.
that's what happened. A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah,
in
we
between.
had the holidays and everything.
We have pandemic, we have,
Yep.
no, we had the holidays, that was
holidays,
that really
right.
messed things up.
a lot of
So,
stuff. All right,
yeah, so no member shall be, so no member shall be elected and officer of the board until they have completed 1 year of service from
the date of their,
their attendance at their first, anybody have a problem with that? No member shall be nominated and or elected unless they are present at both the day of nominations and the day of election. Okay,
Fine.
anybody have a problem with that? Okay. During the March meeting of the board, the chairperson shall appoint a nominating committee consisting of 5 members. This committee shall elect its own chairperson and prepare a ballot with a list of candidates for each position in alphabetical order for the May meeting. I wonder how this is gonna go because we just had an election, but okay.
well, this is like for the 2-year, I guess for the, to elect a
Right.
new board, so.
The election cycle.
Right.
Okay, all right. The chairperson of the nominating committee shall ensure A, that the nominating committee is prohibited from engaging in any behavior that could be considered electioneering. That all nominations for office in CB7 shall be made from the floor and shall end when no more nominations are made during the nominating section in the May meeting. That the nominating committee is to ensure that all nominating candidates are in good standing in CB7 to hold office if elected. Good standing shall mean the candidates meet the attendance requirements of the Borough President's Office and the CB7 bylaws at the time of the nomination. That the nominating committee obtain a signed form from all candidates within a week of being nominated at the May meeting, accepting or declining the nomination. A member cannot accept the nomination for more than one position. Okay.
Can you go back a second?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little, I'm thinking of the timing. Nominating committee is to ensure that all nominated candidates are in good standing in CB7 to hold office if elected. It's sort of
Right, it should be, no,
be a candidate. I mean, I know what they're saying, but it's not. Nominating committee ensure that all nominated candidates are in good standing. Run for office. The nominating committee is to ensure that all nominated candidates are in good standing.
period.
Why?
That's the new
hold
C.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unnecessary. I mean, it's unnecessary to say anything more, right?
Right,
If you go back,
to C, the new C, yeah.
Okay.
That the
The nominating committee is to ensure that all nominated candidates are in good standing in CB7 to hold office if elected. Good standing shall mean the candidates meet the attendance requirements of the Borough President's Office CB7 bylaws at the time of nomination. So we should take this out, you're saying?
If elected, yeah. Just leave it at, are in good standing in CB7 to hold office, or
So
Yeah.
everything after that you want to
Right.
eliminate.
Right,
just if elected.
Just
Get
leave
rid of
if
it.
elected. Good
they
standing
won't
shall
be
mean,
voted on. I mean, somebody might imply it's after the fact, like they get vetted after they're elected. No, they're going to be vetted before the election takes place.
Right,
So just say hold office, period. Get rid of if elected.
oh, okay, all right.
just that, those two words, yeah.
All right. Okay, it's
The
gone.
rest seems okay, yeah.
All right, so next,
You're on E now.
E, okay. The nominating committee is to monitor all procedures regarding the election, such as but not limited to handing out the ballots, collecting all the ballots for counting. All ballots must be signed and indicate clearly the candidates being voted for in order to count as a valid vote. Ballots that are not signed will not be counted. There shall be one ballot that will be inclusive of all candidates listed in alphabetical order running for all positions concurrently. Got that?
Got it.
Right. Do we hear?
Question.
Go ahead.
Go back a little. I remember somebody or whatever, we were supposed to check with Tom Lucanio or somebody in the borough president's office. A member cannot accept a nomination for more than one position. I distinctly remember a vote we took.
That's further down. I think
Was
that's
running
further down, Andrew.
She was running for 2 positions. She was nominated for more than one position.
I thought we said that here. We
That
said
it was legal, I
Yeah, it's
remember, we
there.
questioned it.
right there. A member cannot accept a nomination for more than one position. It's right
But
there.
they can
But I'm-
run for more than one position,
She
correct?
was nominated for more than one. Either
Right,
that was
right.
correct or we're
Yeah.
incorrect, but we need to have that cleared up. So I don't know if that's,
A
if
member, it
that's
says
true.
it, a member cannot accept a nomination for more than one
How can
position.
you run for more than one position if you haven't been nominated for more than one position, Andrew? It
True.
says it there.
Yeah,
It says it
Okay,
right
it
there.
does state it.
It's
I'm
already,
saying
it's
that
already, it's already
in the
stated.
sorry.
past, that was done, and I believe Tom was present at the meeting, and he said that it was okay. So we can't go against what the borough president's office says is correct.
Well, they can
It
look at
may-
this afterwards. We'll let them look
Yeah,
at this
we-
and they can tell
we
us. If they think that we've done something that we shouldn't, then they'll let them tell us that. We think we've got it covered here, you know.
once this is done, we can send it to the Bronx Borough President's Office and the legal department and have them take a look. And if they
Right,
find
that's the next
anything,
step.
if they find anything wrong with these bylaws legally, let them come back and tell us which points we have to come back to.
Because that doesn't sound correct.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
Um,
just sorry to be, but if we're going to be voting on this, can we trust the borough president's office to review this in time?
We have
Before
to.
the-
Andrew,
We
we
have to
have to, they
trust.
are
Yeah.
they are the body that governs over us. We have to
Yeah.
trust them. However they do their process, we have to trust it, one way or the other. We have no other
Exactly.
choice.
we will vote. It'll be, they will be submitted. If there is a change, they will notify us of the change that we have to put in. That's it.
May I ask a question, a clarification about, could you just scroll down back to D? I just want to make sure that we have the D, or maybe it was, no, go up then, go up. I lost my train of thought. Oh, as far as voting, the person voting has to be present, right? You can't submit.
Right. For the nomination and the election.
Right, all members must be present, right? Do we say that here? Not the nominees, but the voting members, you know, we have to be present. Because I'm also thinking how we've been doing electronic voting.
Yeah, but that means present.
It is present.
Yes.
That is,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I just want to make sure, I
Considered
didn't
present.
see it, so. Okay, so if you can go, okay, fine, all right.
All right, so we are up to G or F? Okay, F. The nominating committee makes available to all candidates the contact information of board members if requested by any candidate. That the nominating committee is to count the votes the same night of the election, and the chairperson of the nominating committee announce the winners. After the ballot count and the announcement of the winners, the chairperson of the nominating committee will submit in a sealed envelope all election documents to the district manager for safe record keeping. No member of the board can serve as a member of the nominating committee and at the same time be a candidate for office.
Right.
I just wish we had a different word for winner. I don't like the word winner.
I
But,
know.
you know,
You could
okay.
say the elected person. I mean,
Elected person, yeah.
that's the
I'm
same.
just, you know, it's like not a lottery. It's not like you win, you know.
Right. We could change that to elected person. We'll go back to that.
or
That's
something.
right.
Okay.
Section 3. Upon the official announcement to the board members and to the public via an official general meeting or email of a vacancy of any officer position, a special election will take place at the next general board meeting as long as the announcement is made within 2 works of the next scheduled monthly board meeting. Nominations will be taken from the floor and a voting election will take place at that same meeting. This was
Can we
the
just-
change.
Can we say election? Do we have to say voting election? For
The
the floor?
voting will take place.
And an election will take place?
No,
Yeah,
it's-
just an election
Take
will
out-
take place at the same meeting,
yeah.
nominations and elections.
an election, and an election will take place.
I
Okay.
think that was somehow referring to the mechanism for an election. So the same procedures that we use for electing an officer has to be
Mhm.
followed.
Mhm, mhm.
Somehow I think what that was saying, using the same rules.
Right. Well, I mean, an election will take place. That means we have to follow the rules. I understand why.
Right.
It's- Okay, upon the vacancy of any officer, the vacancy shall be filled by the board. The election to fill such a vacancy shall take place no later than the second meeting following the vacancy. The manner of voting shall be the same as that set forth in section 2 of Article 5. All candidates shall be nominated from the floor. Any officer elected to fill a vacancy shall hold office for the remainder of the unexpired term.
Okay.
Section 4.
Can
got
you make that a capital, all candidates there, in the article,
Where,
third sentence down? In what you just read, Myrna.
upon-
All candidates shall be
sentence.
nominated from the floor, all
Yeah.
that should be, all should be, that A should be capitalized.
I am
Go ahead.
having trouble finding it. Okay. Shall we fill?
Okay,
Oh,
all, that one,
you
yeah.
want this capitalized?
Yeah, because it's a separate sentence, or is that a comma? The manner of voting shall be the same as set forth in the section 2 of the Article 5.
It's a comma there. That's why.
Really? Okay. I thought that ended the sentence. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
No, I'll fix it later. All candidates shall be nominated for the floor. Okay. An officer may resign at any time by submitting their resignation in writing, email with the date of resignation to the chairperson and office staff. Okay.
Fine.
Section 5, an officer may be removed from an elected position for cause in accordance with the procedure governing removal of members spelled out in Article 3, Section 5 of these bylaws. Section 6, the chairperson shall be a member of and attend the district service cabinet and borough board meetings, report to the board and the public on information from such meetings, be an ex officio member of all standing and special committees with the exception of the nominating committee, and exercise all those powers granted to the chairperson by the city charter, the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, and these bylaws. Okay.
So I'm sorry, so we're going into now the responsibilities of the officers. Is that what this section is?
Yeah, the chairperson. Mhm.
Section 6? Okay, so there's no like subheading that
And-
says these are
No.
like,
I think
okay,
Justice, and the chairperson, in their absence, designate another board member to attend the district service cabinet meeting, or by rules or law, it has to be the actual chairperson. And if they're absent, they're absent. Does anybody know? Because then we should say, or they're
No,
designated.
I think they are allowed to designate a
A representative, I would think so.
representative.
We should say, or their designated. The chairperson or their designated representative shall be a member of and
The
attend.
chairperson can designate a person, but also the district manager attends those meetings as well.
Right,
So
right.
if I'm not, if, for example, if I'm not in attendance, and the DM is a representation.
Right.
Okay,
Do we
Sounds
really
good.
need to say that? Because it's always understood that you always can send somebody
Oh,
in
but
your place.
do we want to, in addition to the district manager, another board member can be present? So I'm saying the chairperson or a designated member of the board.
That might be something to run through the BP's office because they only expect either the chair or a DM. So if we're gonna designate something that
I
I
don't
think
know.
that's something to run it by them and
Yeah,
get them.
Because I know in the past, I've attended those meetings, so I know it
Yeah,
was
but
done.
things
in the-
have changed, guys. Things have
I
changed.
know.
A lot of
So
a lot of
We
things
cleared
are
up-
not what they used to be. So now we have to ask the question whether it still stands or not. And this is why I'm bringing it up. We may have to just ask the BP's office if that is allowable so that we can add it to the bylaws. If not,
Correct.
it's gonna have to be what it is.
Correct.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Let's leave that and we can always ask the borough president about that question. All right, we read number 6, right?
Mhm.
So we are up to 7. The first vice chairperson shall preside over the executive committee and generate the agenda in consultation with the chairperson. In the absence of the chairperson, the first vice chairperson shall have all the powers and perform all duties of the chairperson as defined in Article 5 of Section 6. Everybody understood, so there you go.
Right.
If for some reason the chair cannot attend something, the first vice chair is going to step in. Section 8, the second vice chair shall, in the absence of the chairperson and the first vice chairperson, have all the powers and perform all the duties of the chairperson. Refer to Article 5, Section 6. Want to see that? The second vice chair shall also perform such duties as assigned by the chairperson of the board, period. Got that?
No,
Section 8, the second vice chairperson shall, in the absence of the chairperson and the first vice chairperson, have all the powers and perform all the duties of the chairperson. Refer to Article 5, Section 6. The second vice chair shall perform such duties as assigned by the chairperson of the board.
can we still go back? Didn't we just say that in section 7?
That was about the first, oh,
The
wait,
second vice chair.
right.
Yeah, shall also.
Oh, it says it again.
Oh, you know what? There's 2 section 8s, I think.
Oh, that's what
Yeah,
the
there are
problem.
2 section 8s.
11(8), yeah, you have 2(8).
All right, okay, we gotta fix that. We gotta get rid of this section 8. I said,
Yeah.
like, it did sound like we read that already.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll just eliminate, that's the same thing. Section 9, and there's an issue here, I'm gonna right away. Section 9, and it was just an oversight on our part. Section 9, the third vice chair shall serve as the chair of the Budget Personnel Ethics Committee and serve as the liaison of the committees with respect to the development of the board's expense and capital budget. The third vice chair shall also perform such duties as assigned by the chairperson. No, that's fine. For some reason, I thought we eliminated that, but that's it.
It was
No,
a
that's
when you get to the treasurer, that was the one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, section 10, the secretary shall record the minutes of the meetings of the board and shall be in charge of maintaining records of the board, including minutes, reports, communication, correspondence in conjunction with the district manager.
Right.
In addition, the secretary shall perform such duties as shall be assigned to the secretary by the chairperson of the board. So if your hire wants to give the new secretary more work to do, she can. Section, this is 11 here. Is it 11?
It'll become 10 once
10,
we.
it actually should be.
No, yeah.
It is 11, okay.
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 Oh,
I
the
have a question.
treasurer. removing or
I-
replacing, this is the question here, section 11.
Right, I have a question. If we are removing the treasurer's position, how do we know, from month to month, what is in the treasurer? I mean, I know of all groups that deal with money, give a treasurer's report. Now, if we're gonna remove the treasurer, that's fine, but then somebody else has to have the responsibility of giving the report. We haven't had it of late because our staff's salaries took most of our budget, but that's gonna change now that the DM is gone, and we'll probably hire someone at a lower budget. So where in this can we put the treasurer if we're not gonna, the treasurer's report, if we're not gonna use the treasurer anymore?
Isn't it the chair of the budget and personnel and something committee to do that then?
Well, we're keeping the third vice chair then?
Yeah, it's there, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the third
maybe
vice
in
chair.
there, we could say internal as well as the external budget?
I guess so, I mean.
And then it'll be whoever has that position's responsibility to give that report at executive committee meetings.
So that's, if we want that, I mean, these budgets are basically kind of like, there's really
And
nothing.
I think the thinking was, this was when, Aisha mentioned it, all the monies go through the DM. So, I don't know, like, it's not.
True,
like-
but even though they changed the computer system, as a board, we still have the right to know how the money's being spent.
Oh, absolutely.
You
I
know,
don't- But I don't think that we need to have a month to month, we could have a.
well, at
quarterly
least
meeting,
quarterly
or-
anyway,
We're fine, whatever, whatever makes.
but we need to hear, how it's being spent.
Well,
Okay, so we'll do it during, we'll,
But can
the
we go
budget-
back down, Mary, could you please just go back to third vice chair?
Put it in third vice chair if you want to get rid of the treasurer.
Third vice chair, third.
Third.
First vice. Yeah, here.
Internal and
Third
external.
vice shall serve as the board's expense to capital, the development, and the board's expense and capital budget, and what?
The internal board's budget.
And the board's
that the
budget.
board's expense, isn't that already say that?
No, that's the expense and capital outlay budgets that we do every year. Not
I would put in the
what we
word-
spend internally.
It'd say the board's fiscal year expense and capital budget.
Good, thank you.
All
Which
right,
one?
that may help. Wait,
Fiscal year,
Was
just,
fiscal year,
year. Budget as well as the expense and capital outlay budget,
the board's.
fiscal year budget as
year
well
budget.
as.
as well as the internal board budget, that's fine, as well as the internal board budget.
Yeah. Because there are two different budgets.
Is that what you want? Respects to development of the board's fiscal year budget, as well as as the expense and
Expense
capital.
and capital budgets.
Okay,
Budget,
No, I would put
internal budget as well as the expense
Full
and
year.
capital budgets.
expense and capital budget is a very specific document.
Right,
So, yeah, capital F, capital Y for year, expense and capital budget, as well as the internal board budget or something,
yeah,
but it's a very specific thing. So
right,
it's
they are
like-
three separate budgets.
wait,
Yeah.
wait. So can you say that again? The development of the boards,
Capital F, fiscal and year is capital, and then move expense and capital budget right after the word year. It's a very specific document.
okay, so we're,
Capital F there, fiscal,
put capital before fiscal, is that's what you're saying?
yeah,
No, capital F, capital F.
capital F.
Okay, that's what I thought.
There, it's a it's a name of a document, capital F.
Okay.
The
fiscal-
capital
Then-
Y, the capital Y.
Okay. Oh, why is that not giving me?
And then move the capital expense and budget, expense and capital budget, right after that, because that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
the name of a document.
the board's
Fiscal
fiscal
year.
year budget as well as the expense and capital budget.
Okay, that's
That makes
already there.
sense.
Okay,
Yep. Good,
all right,
thank you,
you're welcome. Okay, what are we up to now?
the secretary.
Down to
Did
committee.
that,
We're Moving
okay.
moving the treasurer.
The person at large, right? Was that what we would call that position?
Yeah, we're supposed to do a person at committee member at large. Is that what we said it was?
Yeah, unless you want to call it something else.
Member at large, assistant member at
Member
large.
at large, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We have to say the member of, that the member at large will do what? What duties do they perform?
Repeat the same thing we did for all of the other officers
Mhm,
of the board.
right. Right. Be able to fulfill a position of somebody, okay.
All officers of the board will fill a position. The chairperson leaves, the first vice chair. So we
Right.
all, by definition, in a sense, have succession.
Right. Okay. So Article 6, committees.
Okay,
Oh, this is where we got stuck. Are we okay with this?
yes, I thought we had made up our mind last time that we were keeping that. What do we do with, housing, and, yeah, so that was my understanding anyway, that was settled.
Okay.
Fine.
Budget, education, handling, and economic development. Okay, we moved that up to C. Okay, so we're good with that.
Yes,
All right. Structure of committees. Each standing committee shall consist of a committee chair, vice chair. The committee chairperson shall be appointed or removed by the board's chairperson with the approval of the full board. A committee shall consist of not less than 3 appointed board members, appointed by the board chairperson in consultation with committee chair. Community members who have volunteered may be appointed by the chairperson of the committee. The number of non-members of any committee must be less than 50% of said committee. Non-board members, see, I knew we had to address this. Non-board members are not eligible to vote, make motions, or attend executive sessions. The Budget, Personnel, and Ethics Committee shall be composed of board members only, who must be at least 18 years of age. No person may be appointed as a chairperson of more than one standing committee. A list of committee chairpersons and committee members shall be appointed to all.
Provided, yeah.
Shall be provided to all board members. Okay, so we addressed that already here.
yes,
The committee
All board members
chairperson,
and
what?
Just add and the public, or it's by definition, but I mean, it's a list of committee chairpersons and committee members shall be provided to all board members
And the
and the
public,
general public.
and the public,
Okay. And the general public. Okay. Nope. Typo. Okay, okay, the committee chairperson shall serve for a term of 1 year and may be eligible to serve successive terms upon review of the board chairperson. The chairperson or designee of each standing committee shall have the following responsibilities: preside at committee meetings and public hearings conducted by the committee. All committees must take minutes, attendance, and submit them to the staff and district manager in a timely fashion, as required by the city charter, including but not limited to any motions or letters. All committees shall make reports during the general board meetings. 8, section 8. Each standing committee's chairperson shall appoint a vice chairperson to carry on the duties of the chairperson in case the chairperson is not in attendance. Section 4. The board may by resolution establish such ad hoc committees as it shall deem advisable. Any such committee shall have and may exercise such powers as may be granted to it by such resolution. The resolution may also provide for the composition of the committee, the method of appointment of its chairperson, who shall be a member of the board, and its members, its purpose, its length of existence, and any other matters concerning its operation. Any committee established by such resolution may at any time be terminated by resolution of the board. And it says go back. I don't know what that means. Okay. The chairperson, section 5 of the board shall refer each item referred to the board under the uniform land use Okay, this is a little confusing, this sentence. The chairperson of the board shall refer each item referred to the board under the uniform land use review
To the housing,
procedure
yeah.
to the Housing, Land Use and Zoning Committee. If the committee files a report with the board, such report shall be submitted at or prior to the meeting at which the board votes on the item. If the committee does not file a report, the chairperson of the committee shall notify the chairperson of the board at or prior to such meeting that no report will be submitted. There's an
What
active,
does active link mean?
I
What is
don't
it?
know why that's there.
Is this section, Myrna, anything that's in this color is added? This was added?
Yeah, I think this is all added, yes, at the last, I don't know why there's an active link there, but well, I didn't make
Yeah.
that change.
Probably the requirements of ULURP.
Yeah, okay, right,
should
okay,
know.
there you go, right.
Yeah, we
Hi.
were gonna, to that, we were gonna add either the link to ULURP or the email address.
Okay, that's what we need to do. Okay, we'll do that. The Housing, Land Use and Zoning Committee shall conform to the time constraints imposed upon them by the ULURP procedure to the time of business before the committee. Addition, after conclusion of any public hearing held pursuant to the Uniform Land Use Review procedure, the board chairperson shall be responsible for submission of the board's recommendation and the record of the hearing pursuant to the rules of the Uniform Land Use Procedures, section 6. So everybody understands that active link is an active link to ULURP.
Right, that would be good.
As I understand it, this is, I mean, basically, community boards were born to deal with ULURP primarily.
Right,
This
that's the
is-
ULURP.
This is language that needs to be in there because that is the basis of our existence, even though we've gone beyond ULURP, so. this is
Exactly,
Very specific things.
exactly.
It was also, when we discussed this, it was also because new board members have no idea what a ULURP is.
Right,
Mhm.
We wanted to include it there, so when the bylaws are distributed, if there's any questions, we can say they can revert back to the bylaws, and there's an active link there which shows that we're giving them direction as to where to go as well.
got it, okay.
Okay, so after, okay. Did we
So-
read this? We're up
I'm
to
sorry,
section
so
6.
I'm sorry, so we're gonna take out the word addition at some point, and this will all be cleaned up, is that?
Yeah, that was just a note. That was just for us saying that
Okay.
this is an addition to what we were talking about.
So that'll stay in the bylaws?
No, addition is coming out and it's gonna be
Oh.
added in here somewhere. We're going to, once we have it all together,
Got it, okay, all right, okay.
Okay,
For housekeeping purposes, we could just actually use the initials ULURP. Just put it in when we first mentioned Uniform Land Use Review,
And then
parentheses
put it in.
ULURP.
Yeah, so this, so we don't have to keep
Because
repeating.
everybody calls it ULURP, and we might as well get people used to the, so the last words in that purple Uniform Land Use Procedures, actually the P should be capital. We just put the word ULURP
Yeah,
to have, please.
mhm. That could be, okay.
so
Okay.
do we want to put ULURP right here by the active link? Is that what we're saying?
Go up
No,
a little more.
wherever, go first where ULURP is first mentioned.
See, we already do ULURP in parentheses. We don't have to keep on. It's a minor thing. It's not that big a
Okay.
deal, but just
okay, yeah, he just
Everybody
needs to
needs-
use the
every time we have-
acronym. To use the
Yeah.
acronym from here on forward, because we already mentioned it in the top sentence.
Okay, all right, okay, that's fine, all right. So, okay, so there, okay, so we read that, section 6, there shall, I'll give me 1 minute, Hugo. There shall be an executive board committee, which shall be composed of members of the elected officers of the board and the appointed chairperson of each standing committee. The executive committee shall meet at the request of the chairperson or upon request of 1/3 of its members. It may consider such matters as it deems advisable and may take recommendations to the board. The first vice chairperson shall preside at the meetings of the executive committee. This committee shall have the power to adopt rules of procedures in accordance with the city charter. Minutes should be taken at the executive committee and distributed to board members. So that was addressed here.
Mhm.
Any
So you say-
comments?
Minutes shall be, not should be.
Yeah.
Shall,
Oh, okay, so shall be, okay. Okay. Okay, section 7, all board members shall be members of at least one standing committee. Boy. Are we gonna finish this tonight?
How much more do you have? You should.
Okay.
How many more articles?
Article 7, public hearings. Okay, the first paragraph is gone.
It's good. So section 2 will be section 1 now.
Right, so this should be section 1. Prior to the monthly hearing, each member of the public wishing to speak shall submit to the board office requests for speaking time. Such requests shall include affiliation, if any,
It has
and
name.
contact
sorry.
information.
Name, shall include name. It's kind of like, it's obscured because of we've taken out his or her name, so shall include name.
Okay,
name.
all right, all right, all right.
Um,
Okay, his or her name and any affiliation, if any, and contact information. Add from minutes time allotted to sign up. Okay, that
When-
means,
we were audited, and is this, how could I put it? Are we renaming our monthly general board meetings as public hearings?
Yeah,
I believe so.
mhm.
Well, when we have our Zoom monthly general board meetings, people who want to speak don't submit to the board office on the spot. We give them from 6:30 to 6:45.
15
Yeah,
minutes.
that's what that means. The time allotted to sign up. We had to add this. We
Yeah, but
usually
it says
give them from
submit to the board
6:30
office.
to
We're not
6:45 to
submitting it
sign
to
up.
the board office.
so what
Right.
happens if we go back in person? Do people have to, aside from doing it at the actual meeting, can people submit prior to the
Yes,
board
they
meeting?
can. Yes,
Oh,
they can.
Betty, so on the agenda, they can submit, they can sign up 24 hours in advance, and we actually prefer that, but we allow people to sign up the day off.
Right.
But the preferred option will be for them to sign up within those 24 hours in advance, and other community boards are pretty strict about that. So we give people the option to sign up that the day off that they come to the general board
Do
meeting.
we make that clear when we issue the notice, the general, the notice about our meetings? Do we say sign up 24 hours before, anything like that?
Yes, it's item number 1, I believe. Let me find out.
Okay, all right, if that's okay, so then we're being consistent. So that add from minutes time allotted to sign up, which makes no sense, although I understand part of it needs to be cleaned up because that sentence.
Yeah.
is-
Yeah, we need to clean that up. But basically, it's always been, even when I wasn't on the board, if I showed up at a board meeting, there was a sign-up sheet if you wanted to speak. You just winded up being like the last person, but they always allowed you to sign up as long
I
as you were there in
understand that.
enough time. Yeah,
But you also have prior to the board meeting an opportunity
right,
to sign up, yeah.
which is better for all intents and purposes.
Okay.
Okay. Any written statement or document offered by a speaker shall become part of the official record or the minutes of the hearing. I see you, AJ. Merge with agenda paragraph, include the, wait, this is not written correctly. Okay, any written statement or document offered by a speaker shall become part of the official record or minutes of the hearing.
Period.
Period, right. Include,
The board shall have the power to adopt.
Okay, all right. So you'll say,
Right.
just
yeah, okay, the
capitalize
board,
the
right,
board, yeah, she'll have power to adopt additional rules with regard to the conduct of any
So
such.
just take out,
Right.
include the,
Take out include and
take all that out,
capitalize the.
yeah.
You got it.
Okay. Okay, and then we're down to records and communication.
Whoa, right there, yeah.
Okay, Article 8,
Hey, we're getting there.
except, Section 1, except as provided in the Uniform Land Use ULURP, all records, electronic or paper, minutes, reports, communications, correspondence of the board shall be kept at the office of the board, or if there is no such office, at the office of the borough president.
Okay.
All records shall be made available for inspection and copying. The borough president's office shall be contacted to determine service fees, if any, per New York State Freedom of Information Act. Everybody got that? Okay.
Mhm.
Article 9. Section 1, amendments. Any member of the board may propose an amendment to these bylaws, provided such proposal is in writing and signed by 1/3 of the board's membership.
The board's
A
membership.
propose, right,
Can I ask, I'm sorry, just
What
to
happened?
clear how this is done.
I
I,
lost Myrna.
hello?
what was that?
I just wanted some clarification. I mean, I know the devil's is in the details, but proposed amendment, is it done at a meeting? It's done in writing, and then this is presented to what, an exec session?
Who shall
For,
present
No,
to the-
it says 1/3 of the board's membership, that you could get 1/3 of the board members to agree
Right.
to the amendment.
So I can
Right.
present it at a.
Before you
general-
So they
present
would
it.
have to sign a document saying, yes, I agree with this proposed amendment.
Right.
And then you propose it at the general board meeting for a
Right.
vote.
All right, okay.
I
Okay,
would
and the way
think
this is
that's,
gonna go, the way this is gonna go, since we're probably gonna still be on Zoom, everybody's gonna get a copy of it via email or in print if they require it, and they're gonna have to, if they want to propose an amendment, they have to do it in writing.
right,
Right, okay.
And
okay.
then it will be presented to the board, and if 1/3 of the membership agrees, then the changes are done.
Okay.
No,
That's
no.
good.
I
Right.
think they have to get 1/3 of the
1/3
membership
to
to
agree.
propose it first to the board.
Yeah.
Because
take it
they
to
would
the
need a
board.
majority for it to
Yeah,
become
1/3.
a.
1/3
well,
to then
well,
take
well,
it to
let's-
the membership.
yeah, let's keep reading, because it says you need 1/3 agreement. Then the second sentence says, a proposed amendment shall be submitted in writing to the chairperson, who shall present it at the next meeting of the board, but no vote shall be taken at that meeting. The proposed amendment shall then be placed on the agenda of the following meeting of the board for a vote. So there you go, there's your answer.
Okay. So
You
it's-
have, let's say, Betty Arce wants to propose an amendment that we don't meet on Tuesdays anymore. We meet on Thursdays. She gets 1/3 of the members to agree to that and sign. So it's proposed by the chairperson at the next meeting, but they don't take a vote. It's put on the agenda for a vote at the next meeting. So that is the procedure according to
Right.
this.
That's what
Okay.
we use.
Okay,
Okay, so then prior versions of the bylaws shall be kept on file at the community board office and available on the board's website, okay? So that the public can see any changes that were made, right? Understood?
yes.
Okay, Article 10, adoption of bylaws, Section 1. These bylaws shall be adopted when approved by a quorum of the appointed members of the board present at a meeting of the board, the agenda for which shall have included consideration of bylaws. The approved bylaws shall be filed with the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 4.042 of the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure. And that is the end. Any
Yay.
questions?
Good job, Myrna.
Okay, so this is it. I saw those little
Okay.
changes we need to do, so I will be working with Aisha, oh my goodness, Miss Aisha. I'll be
Wow.
working with Carla
Carla,
and Yahira to just make sure all the changes that we made are put more clearly, but everybody also has to see the changes as we were going through, okay?
Okay, Myrna, one point, that new position of member at large, can we put a sentence or two in describing what the person's gonna do? Because
I
we'll
agree.
have 101 questions.
Yes, I agree. Let's do that now.
Okay, good. Something to the effect of will assist other elected offices when needed or whatever.
Shall be ready to fulfill,
Any duties,
any duties, right,
pursuant to the work of the executive committee,
right,
At the direction of the executive committee.
executive committee.
right.
Or
To
even,
do-
assisting the other elected offices when needed. I mean, say somebody is out and you need
Ready.
somebody to take the minutes or whatever.
Assist in all duties assigned by the chair.
Yes, because
Yeah, you
they
could do
can't, they
that
can't do
too.
the chair, they can't do the chair's role. Like
No,
that's
no, don't give them a chair's role.
Yeah.
Assigned
Definitely not.
by,
assigned by the chair.
Yeah,
by the chair.
The chair,
That's
and in the chair's absence, the executive board. Or
And
first
in-
vice chair.
in the
Get
What do you
rid of the
think,
word
Barbara?
be
chairs.
ready. You don't need the
Okay.
word be ready. This and all
Okay.
duties assigned.
Duties, duties, to assist in all,
Just put duties colon, and you can put to assist in, to assist.
assigned by the chair,
or executive board duties, semicolon, and
Yeah,
all duties assigned by the chair.
duties to assist in all duties assigned by the chair, semicolon, what?
I was gonna put the, and the executive committee, or
okay, duties to assist in
And
the
duties
executive
twice.
committee.
It shouldn't, duties colon, assist,
to assist in all duties assigned by the chair. And
The elected officers? No. Chair,
truly.
or just leave it to assist in all duties assigned by the chair, and
period,
that'll be up to the chair.
Yeah,
because everybody understands if the chair is not sitting, it will be the vice chair.
It's
That's
not-
good enough.
Yeah,
no,
that sounds good.
Andrew,
No,
He doesn't like it.
he doesn't like
I
it.
don't
Like
know.
it?
What,
No,
Andrew?
What is it, Andrew?
Tell us.
I don't know, it's something like responsible to support the other executive board members in their duties, something like that. They're supposed to assist where needed the other members of the
Oh,
executive.
how about, right, duties to assist in all duties by the chair as needed. There you go.
As needed.
Perfect.
Okay,
This will be in a super rare instance. This
Right.
never really happens. And if
Okay.
it does, I mean, it's an act of God, basically.
So are we
Okay.
going to, so we will be electing a member at large? That'll be one of the positions?
that'll be one of
Yeah.
the positions.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, just want to be clear, Okay.
Yeah,
We gotta put them to work, though.
yeah, okay.
No, I
So,
understand, but this is a rare instance. A lot of us are always in attendance. This will
Right.
Right,
be
you're right, but
Right.
they, I'm
completely,
trying to think of what they can do to help out. That would-
Correct. I'm saying, other than filling in
Yeah,
for somebody
because
else.
then it's a do
what
nothing position.
I think what we're really missing, in all honesty, is a parliamentarian.
Put it
exactly.
in, make it a parliamentarian then.
Parliamentarian is
I like that.
what's
Very-
really needed, because we have instances where we need to have someone to call order.
Right,
we
let's
can't
do
always-
that.
we can't
Parliamentarian.
We can't always do everything all the time.
So they're the ones who are timing things, making sure that, I mean,
That the rules are followed, that Robert's
Oh, yes.
rules of orders are
Well,
in
we could
place.
we could assign them parliamentary duties, but then they have to be
Right.
trained.
Yeah, they'd have to read up on it and know
well,
how
no,
to do it.
whoever wants to be nominated or run for that position has to have those skills.
Right, exactly.
Or an added training, which is something that it's being worked on for all of us.
Okay.
I believe all board members need a refresher course every once in a while.
Mhm, I agree.
So do we want to change this to a parliamentary? Or just
Parliamentarian.
give,
Yeah, I say
It's more
Parliamentarian.
parliamentarian.
specific, it makes sense.
That
That's
is
a
a,
very-
that's a better,
That's
I
a very
think so.
specific title. If you want to say they should be, I don't know, knowledgeable of parliamentary rules, that's one thing. But the word parliamentarian is the actual title of somebody who,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah, who's,
You know.
So
who's
let's
got those
discuss it.
skills.
Let's discuss this since we're at it. Do we feel that we do need a parliamentarian? Because sometimes I think we do.
Yeah, I agree at times.
but the,
People don't second motions and whatever, and
Exactly. So we have already so much going on in different agendas and different things. I think it's needed. Me and Barbara on the same page, being
Right.
that we both been chairs. Why not?
Yeah.
so how about duties to assist in parliamentary procedure?
That's fine. I'm
Yeah.
happy with that.
To assist in
parliamentary procedure.
Parliamentary procedures.
Now you're gonna test my spelling skills.
Parliamentarian.
Parliamentarian. Write it in, spell check on this thing? Parliamentarian.
Procedures.
Procedures, yeah, you got it.
Okay,
I think there's an A in there somewhere that needs to go.
Yeah,
I
fix
know.
it. I'll fix the spelling.
Parliament,
Parliament.
A.
Oh, PARLIA,
Yeah, I think so. I think it's either IA or AI, one or the other.
that's good.
my spell check's not working.
I'm glad you thought of that, Yahira, because it's needed.
Yeah. it's
Yes, it
definitely
is.
needed.
So that's
Duty-
it.
These are the good changes that need to happen.
Right, that's
Duties
good.
to assist in,
No, it's to assist the board in parliamentarian procedures.
Yeah,
Duties to assist the board in parliamentarian procedures.
procedures.
duties include to assist the board in parliamentary and all other, whatever we say. Oh, as such as assigned by the chairperson of the board.
And
Duties to assist the board,
Other such
Assist the
duties
board.
as assigned by the chairperson.
but first, duties to assist the board in parliamentarian procedure,
Assist the board.
the board, yeah.
And the correct spelling is PARLIA.
IA, yeah.
Okay, there wasn't any.
LILI.
LIA.
After the I.
Parliamentary.
Parlia.
Take out the I to an A.
No,
No. Leave the
Add an
I,
A,
add an
add an
A.
A,
It's Latin.
add an A after I.
Oh, okay. Like that?
That's
Yeah.
it,
It's
after
giving me a-
Parliament, right? Yep,
I guess
It's
parliamentary.
asking parliamentary
It's
procedure.
not
on it.
parliamentarian procedures, parliamentary procedures and
Right,
all and such duties as shall be assigned by the chairperson of the board.
Such duties as assigned by the chair.
Yeah.
that is it.
yep. Looks
And,
good.
I
At least
know
we've defined it.
We are ending this meeting, but I did want to give Mr. AJ, he wanted to say something. Are you muted, AJ? Or did you
Hello,
want to
can you hear
still
me?
say-
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
yes. Go
Yeah, I
ahead,
just wanted
Nick.
to make sure the board's in compliance with the audit. It's referred to in a couple times that the public hearing, this is from page 53 of the audit. The public hearing be referred to as such and not as a public session in the agenda, notice and other materials issued by the board. I shared in the chat, there's a couple of the word hearing and meeting is two different things. One means you're there for a specific purpose. That would be the public hearing. So you're there like for a ULURP, you're there for a reason, where the public session in the general board meeting would be for any topic you want to talk about. And it also states, hold on, where was it? To quote directly, that a quorum is needed for the public hearing. So that's why I believe the board started doing them at the general meeting so that everybody is there, and instead of making everybody go to two different meetings. But if you read the charter and the audit, it specifically states all of this. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
AJ,
you.
for your input.
You know,
Much
one thing-
appreciated.
One thing that AJ jiggles my memory and mind is how when we hold meetings, we sometimes, I wonder, shouldn't we have attendance taken at the top of the, the meeting and then go into business? Sometimes I feel like we kind of like do this somewhere in the middle and
Well, it also gives
right.
time for,
Please post
people
first.
to join.
Yeah, I'm not
Right. You
talking
have-
about like when we have the public session, when people are coming to speak, the so-called public hearing, but I don't know, I just feel like, like when we vote on stuff, motions, and we haven't taken, attendance yet, that kind of stuff. I think Andrew raised that.
I don't think we
Okay.
have.
We do,
Yeah.
we do that. We do.
Yes.
We
I
we
think,
vote
okay,
on motion.
We've done them when there's no motion on the floors, which has happened a few times. Now, when there has been motions, well, before me, I
We vote.
believe that attendance was taken first before going into all the motions. Now,
Yes, we did.
Yes, always
the
before the
change
meeting.
was that for the public hearing, the public had now a time frame to review the motions and give their input prior to continuing with the agenda.
Correct,
Right.
no, that makes sense, but something like, we approve the prior month's minutes before we've taken attendance. We've done that. As an example, just as an example.
Yeah,
I did it differently yesterday, and I made an amendment. to how we
I
would
don't
vote it
remember
out.
the minutes being approved without a quorum. You have to have a quorum, otherwise you can't approve the minutes.
Minutes, exactly.
Yeah, right. Okay, so
My
we'll just,
understanding,
So we'll switch.
My
we'll
understanding
switch
is
the agenda.
business of the board cannot take place unless there's a quorum present.
absolutely,
For voting, the business of the board.
right,
So the
right.
question is, when there's public session, is that the business of the board? And if
No.
the public session
No.
is considered business of the board, then we really should do attendance ahead of time, because you can't conduct business of the board without a quorum present. You can't do a quorum unless you do it.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know.
Understood.
The public hearing to allow the public to make comments on motions, it's beforehand. So
Okay,
what we can do is switch it around, where, like I did yesterday, we had Ruth's vote, right? So what did I do? I took the
Election.
attendance to make sure that we had quorum, and then I moved on with the agenda and and then did all the other, did the attendance and all the motions and everything else.
okay. So with
And
that,
just to follow up on that too, all agendas have meeting guidelines. And then after meeting guidelines, item number 2 is introductions/attendance.
okay,
And then it moves on to approving the previous month's minutes.
All right,
okay.
so
So-
what we call a public hearing, that's where people sign up to.
So public hearings, because we were audited and they said that we needed to host public hearings. But in reality, if there's not a public hearing to be needed, we decided that that was the section based on their definition, that they said that when we allowed the public to voice their concerns or any other item that they want to bring forth at the general board meeting. So by definition, the public hearing is that. And then if there is a public hearing needed for the adoption of the capital and expense budget, that's an additional public hearing that gets hosted individually.
Okay.
If there is a need for a public hearing for a ULURP issue, that is another public hearing that gets added to the calendar in addition to the public hearing section that happens monthly at the general board meeting.
Okay. So, it is
Uh,
now
s-
8:20. I know the
sorry, if-
AJ wanted to say something really quick. Hurry up.
Yes, if you could just take attendance at the public hearings before they start, and it says nowhere that the electeds go, they go and take up a lot of the public's time.
I
And they
know.
don't talk about things in regards to the public hearings. So if they can move that to the general board meeting, I know it's just like a matter of the agenda, but that takes up so much time. The public has like a minute to speak and we kind of rush it sometimes. Thank you. Sorry again.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so can I have a motion to end the
Oh,
meeting?
wait, I have a question about the mechanics. I don't think we decided on this. So, okay, general board member, somebody may be completely new. When they are presented with a vote, they're gonna either vote up or down the bylaws with the changes we made. Are we obligated to, or should we, or to give them a copy of the prior bylaws
Sure.
so they can contrast and see what changes we made? Or do we just give them the bylaws the way we did tonight? So that's my question.
I think what we're gonna do is, first and foremost, clean this up. Number two, send it to the BP's office and make sure that it's compliant with the BP's office and the law department. That's number two. Number three, if it all goes well, once we share it with the board members, we can include in the email, if you do not have a copy of the previous bylaws, we can provide it to you for comparison.
Sounds good.
We have to be a little bit more procedurally. We can't just be given and given. No, it has to be more procedurally. If they require a copy of the old bylaws for comparison, give us something in writing so that we have proof that this was done, because a lot of people have come back and say, oh, I don't know where the bylaws are. I never got a copy of the bylaws. This will protect the board in itself.
Okay.
And they are also on the website. Our bylaws are on our website.
Right, that's
Oh,
true.
okay.
Okay.
When you clean it up, could we have a copy before it goes off to the borough president's office?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course,
Okay,
the
good,
board,
thank
the board is gonna get it. So, with that, I need a motion to end the meeting.
I move we end the meeting.
Motion to close.
Second,
I second, Jahira Iris.
okay. Okay, good night. Thank you, everybody.
Good
This has been a
night.
lot of work,
Thank
but
you.
I